What's up, guys? This is NLW bringing you another nighttime discussion video. Before I get started, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit up the notification bell, follow me on Twitter at RisingFlame2011. Check out my YouTube videos. I do have playlists, and be sure everything I said it does help out a lot. I always appreciate the support and feedback. Before I get into tonight's video, there's one thing I gotta mention, and it happened after I got done recording Smash Bros. Melee in the day today, and it revolves around my phone stand, and I already have noticed what is wrong with it. It's a little off balance, and that is because when I was putting my stuff away, I dropped it, and my foot stepped on it, and it slightly broke it. In a way, now it's crooked, but I can live with it. I've had this happen before. It's this is one item I definitely can't lose because there's nothing in this house that I know that can have my phone set up vertically like that or horizontally. The closest thing that would actually get to this is my brother's phone chair. And I don't like recording videos with the phone straight up. I prefer it this way because if I do it straight up vertically, the quality of the videos are going to be terrible. If I do it horizontally, it's going to be much better. So this is one item I definitely cannot lose. Every other item, I have a backup of. I have a backup chair. My suitcase is fine. Books, I have plenty of books. Rubik's Cube, I have just the one, but it's in decent shape. I had a second one, but my sister took it for a high school project without asking for my permission. And then the phone stand, where it's practically irreplaceable because it was actually 3D printed from my brother when he took an industrial tech class in middle school. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about a character that I've been honing in on here these last couple of days. And if you've seen the title of this video, you know who exactly it is. It's not Victini, but I have been feeding a lot of attention to Victini here lately, but it's another one that works well with Victini. And this character could give Victini a run for his money, but I don't think it would be enough to pass Victini. I think Victini either way would still be number one, despite being close with this one. And today, pretty much, I talked about this character pretty much all day today and yesterday. But outside of YouTubing and social media, I've been talking about this character for a lot longer. That is Jirachi. Now, why Jirachi? Of all the Pokemon out there, do I think Jirachi could compete with Victini? I don't know. But there are some new things that I found out tonight about Jirachi that I didn't know about. There are two things that I can tell you that are new, that I didn't know about. And those two things are, Jirachi is a dual type Pokemon, which I had no idea. Another thing that I didn't know about is that Jirachi, unlike Victini, has a Mega Evolution. Yep. Mega Evolution. Now, I only had just looked this stuff up maybe like 15 minutes ago. It was way before I started this. It turns out also the dual type Psychic makes a lot of sense, you know, with the eye in the middle and, you know, the wishes and stuff, and being in the sky all the time, or most of the time. You know, it has a lot of those abilities. I'm getting sick of yawning, by the way. This is ridiculous. I should not be yawning. I should be used to staying up so late. But the other type that it is, which completely blew me away, and I was like, how does this type deal with or come in with any relation to Jirachi? And that is Steel. How does Steel deal with Jirachi? Unfortunately, I will not be able to explain that in this video because, well, I don't really know. I only just found it out not too long ago. But Jirachi is a Steel and Psychic type and has a Mega Evolution. I knew Jirachi was a Psychic type, but I didn't realize that there was a Steel type attachment to Jirachi. And of course a Mega Evolution, but a lot of Pokemon have those. I should totally like force myself to stop yawning. Hold them in. But why Jirachi? You know, I never really have explained why Jirachi over everyone else except Victini. Well, I have a lot of, you know, strong feelings about Jirachi, you know, very popular, is actually used quite heavily in the competitive world. Found that out too. In some way or terms, I think Jirachi, in terms of strength, could act. No, let me rephrase that. Jirachi's strength, believe it or not, is actually very close to Mew's strength level. Now, we all know that Mew is very strong, of course. Can literally do, like, anything. But I thought that part was interesting, you know, the Steel and Psychic, you know, Mega Evolution. I obviously knew that it could make wishes. It is practically the god of making wishes, and it is actually one of the 8 legendaries that was first born from Arceus and whatnot, which is actually really interesting too. I don't think any of my other favorite legendaries, like Victini, Celebi, Zapdos, Mesprit, Ho-Oh, or I don't even know if even Mewtwo, but you know, it's something that Jirachi has that no other legendary can really, well, any one of those Pokemon that was first born from Arceus, from the first 8, can say that they were born from that period, whereas others, the other legendaries out there, were not. Now, Jirachi's the only one that I know of that was born out of those 8. I would have to do research, of course, to find out the other 7. I could look into that, but I'll wait a bit on that. But just in all seriousness, though, Jirachi just sticks out to me, you know, elegant, like a Gardevoir kind of elegance. You know, the fact that it can make wishes is, and make them, any of them come true. I also found out that in order to awake from its slumber, is you have to sing music, not like radio music, but music from your voice with purity, clarity, and elegance in order to awake Jirachi from its 1,000-year slumber, which, if you guys remember when I compared Victini to Jirachi several discussion videos ago, about a month ago, I only mentioned just very few things about Jirachi in that video, and I never mentioned about the music part because I didn't know that at that time, but now I do because I'm looking more in depth with Jirachi and doing a lot more research about him, so that way I know more, you know. I mean, that's how I found out a lot of information I know about Weavile and Pichu and Victini. You know, I did research by off camera. I would do research to see things about each of them that makes them unique. Find out what episodes or something they appear in, if they're in any manga. You know, getting to know their history, what games they're in. You know, all that sorts of stuff. What their powers are like, what kind of purpose they serve. You know, Jirachi is one of those Pokemon that I can really appreciate and take for granted. That Jirachi is, in some sort of way, just as cool as Victini. You know, Victini, as far as I know, he can't make any wishes come true. I mean, he has saved an entire... I'm pretty sure he's saved an entire planet from being ruined, I believe. And Jirachi could pretty much save an entire universe that quick. You know, do I think that Jirachi has more strength than Victini? I would think so, but I would say they're both equal in strength. I honestly don't see one of them being stronger over the other. You know, I think they're pretty equal in terms of strength. But for me, the biggest part that leaned me in towards Jirachi is the wish making. You know, most people would say that, you know, blowing like one of those little... They're not dandelions, but those little white things with like the little dust, and if you blow them all off and make a wish, and you blow them all off in one attempt, that your wish will come true. As crazy as it is with me believing in so many things like the paranormal, for example, I actually don't believe that to be true. Honestly, I've tried it before and nothing happened. You know, I made a wish and here I am and it has still not happened. Same with like a shooting star, for example. Except I don't think I've ever seen a shooting star. I would know if I have or not. But as far as that goes, I really don't believe in wish making is a true thing. Unless it's Jirachi. Then I would definitely believe that. Some speculation say that if you write something on a note, like a sticky note, and attach it to Jirachi, and in those thousands of years in its slumber, those wishes for you will most likely, if not 100%, come true. And, you know, that is something I would believe in. You know, I'm all about learning new things, especially about things like Pokemon and whatnot, you know. I mean, we're making a big deal out of a Pokemon who was not even in the top 25 of my favorite characters list and is top 3 in my all-time favorite Pokemon's list. Not even in the top 25 Jirachi was. How can you have a top favorite legendary Pokemon in all time but not be in your characters list? That's like me with like Inkling and Lucas being two mains of mine in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and they're not even in my top 25. Well, I'll tell you why. Because a lot of those characters in that list are hard to beat characters, and characters I've liked for a really, really long time, or there is a lot of reasoning that goes behind them and why I've liked them for even just the shortest periods of time. You know, it just clicks so quickly. Like, it's like, look at how long it took Weavile to get to number 1. It did not take him long to get to number 1. He will most likely be passed by Jirachi by the end of the week for second. Now, currently Jirachi sits 19th, taking Minon's place. I've kind of have moved on from Plusle and Minon a bit, kind of like how I did with Minccino and Pancham. You know, I've kind of moved on from them, you know. I still think they're cool, but I think it's time for some new faces to come in, like Jirachi, you know, Roserade, and Celebi to join in this list, you know. Actually, Jirachi was already in the list to begin with, but Celebi and Roserade were not. But it's nice having those two in there. Celebi sitting 4th past Gardevoir, very close battle between them two, and then Roserade is number 8. Just in front of Meowscarada, my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon. Either that or Meowscarada is just one spot ahead. But for me, though, Jirachi just has a lot of speciality to him. Well, a her. I could technically say Jirachi's a female, but... And another thing I also noticed is that something that maybe you guys have never noticed before is if you've ever noticed those little things under Jirachi's eyes, like the little light blue stuff. Now, I always used to think that it was just part of Jirachi's body. Like, I just thought those were naturally there, that they didn't serve a purpose. Now, it turns out that those actually do have a meaning to them, and it means that Jirachi is technically crying, but not in a sad way, but in a joyous way, because Jirachi is glad to see those people happy and making those wishes come true for them, making their days so much better, and just all around happiness, all over, you know. It's not tears of sadness, it's tears of joy. We have felt those before. I have. I don't cry very often. Like, it takes a lot to do that. But Jirachi is one of those Pokemon that loves to make people feel good. Always wants to see other people smile. Jirachi is very special to me. Do I think Jirachi has a chance against Victini? Probably not. Do I think Jirachi will make the top 2? I freaking guarantee it. It will happen. I will let all of you know by the end of the week if Jirachi passes Weavile for number 2. Now, it's weird about these lists, you know, where I put all these different Pokemon or all these different video game characters from all these different video game series that I either know, I've played, or is mixed in with another game. or I've seen a lot of information about him, or I've seen plenty of posts and whatnot about him on social media. It's interesting how I label them and where I put them. Does being in the last spot at 25 mean anything? It does, because basically how I rate the top 25 is basically, you know, Victini, for example, being number one, I talk about him all the time. It's every day that I talk about Victini. I even talk about him in my videos like I'm doing right now. You know, for me, it's not based on votes, because I don't do that. It's based on my thoughts and what I really love about the character and what makes them unique compared to the others. But the bottom, the 25th, the bottom half is basically the characters that I like, but I just don't really talk about them very much. But everybody above 12 are characters that I talk about a lot more often than the other ones. And Jirachi is definitely going to be one of those characters. I don't believe 19th is where Jirachi's going to end. I do think that Jirachi will crack that top half and become one of my most liked character choices that I probably have made. You know, Victini has been a big hit for me. You know, Pichu was a big hit, but kind of more in a negative way, because it seemed like a lot of people were really confused as to why I liked Pichu as the way I did. Weavile, on the other hand, was a character that I feel like that is in the very top, but man, now I can't think of it now. Weavile has taken kind of a neutral turn. Not a negative, not a positive, but in a neutral form. Still likable. Still my number one main in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If I ever had any of the Sinnoh games, definitely would be number one main in there too. Roserade would be second. But, you know, when I did talk about Weavile, like, it got some notice, but not a lot, really. And I think ever since I've been talking about Victini and Jirachi, things have kind of taken a more positive direction. After all the shaky stuff that happened with me with the Pichu stuff, you know, last August was not great. You know, people were confused as to why I liked him. People thought I liked him in a not so good way. Like, people thought I'm not going to say it in this video, but in a more negative way than a positive way. Like, people thought it was just weird, you know. People were baffled. They were like, why do you even like him? He's not even that great. Not that great in Smash Bros, that is. But in the Pokemon games, I'm fine with him. But loving Victini and Jirachi the way I do. Okay? They are, without a doubt, my two favorites. And it's not even particularly close. I will be talking about Victini and Jirachi a whole lot more in the future. And you can count on that. Eventually, it's going to get to a point where that's all I'm going to talk about is Victini and Jirachi. Nothing else. I have already mentioned when I completely retire Gran Turismo, which, if you want to see that video, that was the last video that I made for discussion videos. Go check out the playlist. You'll find it there. I talk about what will I do when I retire GT completely. When I do retire Gran Turismo completely, I will be it will be passing the torch. Gran Turismo is already a top favorite series of mine. It is my favorite video game series ever. There are so many reasons behind why. I'm obviously not going to talk about that because there's a lot to list. But once GT is retired completely, Gran Turismo will be passing the torch to Victini and Jirachi as like, you take over my place as the greatest that ever was. You are the new number ones. Go on, leave a lasting legacy in this person's life. Make them better. Talk about them a lot. And more people will know just exactly what you love the most. And for me, that will be Victini and Jirachi, the two greatest legendaries to ever see the history of video games. We very well could see Pokemon in my top 25 take the top 3 spots. It could happen. With Jirachi. We could maybe even see a top 4 with Celebi there too. I don't have Celebi in the list, but it's a decent chance. It's not 100%. I would say maybe it's about a 70% chance that Celebi gets in there. Top 4, maybe not. Top 10, likely. Top 15, very likely for Celebi. But GT7, or not GT7, Gran Turismo will pass the torch to Victini and Jirachi. You know, that is going to become the new me. I will still cherish Gran Turismo for my whole rest of my life. It's just too good of a series to pass up. It's too many memories that I've made and a lot of fun moments. Gran Turismo will always live on in my heart and soul. You know, it's something that it's never going to go away. I'll still talk about it a lot, too. But Victini and Jirachi will be the new takeover from me from now on. Once I'm done with GT, it's Victini and Jirachi's turn. And honestly, it's so perfect because, you know, who would have expected? Who would have expected Victini and Jirachi to be the ones that will be taking over my gaming, like, and my passion over from my favorite video game series ever to 2 of my top characters in the history of video games that I absolutely love talking about. I could go on and on and on about Victini and Jirachi. Like, seriously, they are just so cool. And I have seen so much cool Jirachi-based art. It is amazing what I have been able to find. So many people, I haven't met anybody yet, but there are so many people that I'm sure love Jirachi, just like how I am talking about in this video about Jirachi. Jirachi has a very bright future in my list of characters and my favorite Pokemon of all time, and has a very good future in my brain and my heart and soul for video games beyond my age right now. I don't care if I'm 80 years old. Victini and Jirachi will live on in my life and in my gaming history forever. They're never going to be forgotten. Now, it might seem like I'm overly gushing about Victini and Jirachi, but I'm just saying this is how it's gonna be. You know, they are practically a new beginning for video games for me. You know, it seems weird that I'm making like a big deal out of this because, to be honest, it feels like it kind of is, you know. I have been really leaning a lot on Pokemon here these last several months, or within this last year, really, and it's been very beneficial. You know, I've attracted more people to my likings. You know, and people are seeing that, and I want to keep that, and I want to keep expanding it. That is why I talk about Victini and Jirachi so much, is because people are noticing that I love talking about them too. And I want people to see that I like Victini and Jirachi so much that it will catch their attention and be like, hey, this person likes these two characters, maybe I could chime in and maybe give them a follow to just cherish or get any more updates about Victini and Jirachi's, you know, amazing backgrounds that they have. You know, I am always willing to talk about these two so much at any given point or time. They are special, and nothing will top Victini and Jirachi. Whether I ship them together, talk about them separately, posting arts of them, you know, talking and sharing my thoughts and feelings about the two, you know, I could go on. There is still so much more that I have yet to learn about Jirachi, and I want to keep doing that because I'm only just getting on the ground surface of Jirachi. It's it's exciting for me. You know, I'm the only one in this household that talks about Pokemon the way I do. And honestly, I'm not bothered by it. You know, it's what I love. You know, Pokemon has become the new me, I guess. You know, it's. I have 4 Pokemon games, two Pokemon cards, 3 Pokemon figures, 12 Pokemon cards in general, and 3 Pokemon plushes. It just shows you how much I have for Pokemon and how much I want to keep going with it. I have 2 drawings on my wall sitting behind me, and I'm sure you can see them in the background. But I have poured my heart and soul into loving Pokemon. And Victini, Jirachi, Weavile, and Pichu have all had some form of way of getting me into it again. At least in some sort of way. Victini and Jirachi are truly, truly special. And that will always remain that way. There is still a lot more to come with Victini and Jirachi, and I most absolutely look forward to carrying them too with me throughout my lifetime and my video gaming journey. This is not anywhere near the last time I will ever be talking about how much I love Victini and Jirachi. They are the 2 best Pokemon ever, and have been able to compete at high levels against some of the other characters that I love talking about and have grown up with. There's plenty more to come with those 2. And they are making this very, very fun and entertaining for me. And they've always have made me happy when I am down. All the time. Whether if I'm thinking about Victini, or Jirachi, I'm always feeling happy, no matter what. Even on a bad day. So, that's going to wrap that up. I know I will be still talking about Jirachi and still be learning more, because I have barely scratched the surface. I want to keep learning more about Jirachi as my time goes on. And of course, Victini as well. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit up the notification bell, follow me on Twitter at RisingFlame2011. Check out my YouTube videos, I have playlists, and be sure to do everything I just said. It does help out a lot. I always appreciate the support and feedback. So, Victini and Jirachi, two greatest to ever live on in my life and gaming history. I know they're not real, but I really want to thank them for how much they have made things so much easier for me. They have truly have made me feel so happy in the roughest of times, when no other character in the world, or even my family and some of my friends, have not been able to do before. And that is cheering me up when I'm down, when I'm just thinking about them. Victini and Jirachi forever together, man. This is NLW saying, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.